chapter B, page 23, first two stanzas, and then we'll turn to 25 for the final two stanzas facing out the Palm gates at that point of that last verse.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Shabbat Nekabla, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Shabbat Nekabla. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, בשם ותפארת ותהילה. לך אדוני, לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה, נקרא שבת לכו ונערכה, היא מקורה ברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך אדוני, לקרא קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, אל ירגיש בן פרצי, בני שמחה ונגינה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. אוי לשלום נטלת עלה, גם לשמחה ובצורה, תוך אמונם סגולה. בואי חנה, לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Had a loss in recent weeks. I just want to offer to those families from Akom, Menachem, Eshem, the Toshah, Al-Yisrael, Yerushalayim. God provide comfort to you along with all the more Zion and Jerusalem. Chanter, you feel ready for the holidays?
Yes, and yes.
There is so much change in the world. And we've been making those adjustments right at the end. And we're going to have some services on Zoom, and we're going to have services here as well. And I hope that although the world still creates change and it doesn't necessarily look like we imagined this year would, I hope that you'll all find ways just to really engage with the high holidays, because this is such a powerful moment in the Jewish year. And Shabbat's a reminder of that, certainly. Shabbat itself is considered a day of renewal, Shabbat Nafash, of stopping, and re-souling is the literal word, right? Nafash, of rebreathing. And the New Year is also a pause where we are supposed to take that stock of ourselves as well. So we're going to continue on page 27 with the song for Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת ולהודות לאדוני וזמר לשמך העליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ונותך בלילות, על יסוד עלי הארץ, על היגיון בחינות, נתן לך ולך, נעשה לך רבנו. לברך. נשמענו, נשמענו. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כרס בלבנון שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד נובון בסבע תשעים ברעננים יהיו להגיד ישר אדוני צורי ולא הבאת בו אדוני מלך ולבש עדותיך נמנו מאוד בבית חנה בקודש אדוני לאורך ימים. Rabbi, you know that Tzaddik
Lewandowski, yes.
Lewandowski. So I just want to say something about that one. You know, there are lots of tunes we know, we're familiar with. Zofreinu lechaim. It's sort of standard songs. They were written in the 1950s in the States. Shalom Aleichem, written in the 1950s in the States. And you have something like that, Tzaddik Ata, which was written in the mid 1800s in Germany, in Berlin, by this choral conductor named Louis Lewandowski. And much of his music still is sung in synagogues today. We still sing other things. The kiddush that we do on Friday night is basically his. And I was just going over with our prayer leaders, Unetane Tokef, the Avot, Baruch, at the start of the Amidah. And there, I was explaining to her that the one I do is the Lewandowski Baruch Avot, which is very gorgeous. It's nusach, but it's beautiful. And I grew up listening to this. And I went to a Sephardic synagogue, a Spanish-Portuguese synagogue in Montreal. And as you can imagine, for much of the history of the Jewish people in Montreal, the majority of the community was actually Ashkenazi. So you had all these Ashkenazim went to a Sephardic synagogue, and our Siddur was a Sephardic Siddur that had a piece of paper pasted in here that was the Notane Tokef, because the Notane Tokef is not part of the Sephardic high holiday liturgy. But Ashkenazi, which was the majority of the congregation, said, how can we have high holidays without it? So I was lucky enough to grow up in this hybrid of Sephardic liturgy and Nusach with Ashkenazi, and to be enriched by great music of someone as classic Ashkenazi and just classic Jewish as Louis Lewandowski. And you were talking about being ready for the high holidays. Things are going to look different, going to feel different, and we're going to be channeling our parents and our grandparents and our ancestors and this beautiful liturgy that we have, and as much as we can with each other. Those are my 2 cents. I'll let you speak at this point.
No, that's fine. I appreciate that answer. And getting musical education. You know, I tend not to give political sermons unless there's really a sort of a Jewish lens connected to it. But tonight I'm going to give a political sermon. And I want to discuss a recent statement that the Pope made. Its connection to Texas's new law about abortion and the contemporary concept of erasure, of cultural erasure. Because I am a rabbi and not a politician, thanks God, we will look at these things primarily, but not exclusively from a Jewish lens. But to set the stage, let's call to mind the very powerful opening of this week's Torah portion. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lefnei Adonai. You stand today, all of you, before Adonai, your God, your tribal heads, your elders, and your officials, all the men and women of Israel, your children, your wives, even the stranger within your camp, from the wood chopper to water drawer, to enter into the covenant. I gotta tell you, it'd be difficult to find in any other ancient literature, sacred or otherwise, an example of inclusion that is so broad and that includes women and men, children and adults, citizens and immigrants, Jew and non-Jew, wealthy and poor, the powerful and the powerless. This covenant even includes future generations. Now, scholars can find parallels in other Near Eastern cultures for documents that protect or enfranchise some of these groups. But for such a comprehensive view of humanity, I think this is a unique statement, and it sets a noble and aspirational vision. Nor is this just any old example of inclusion. It occurs at this hidden moment of importance for the nation. The covenant with Greek is the ultimate example of legal and cultural enfranchisement. And we should feel proud that the Torah presents us a model of a good society that modernity still has not achieved. We should recognize that Jewish law is not something stale or dated, but continues to inspire us. The Jewish people hold in a perpetual trust for all of humanity the world's oldest extant continuous legal system, one that continues to address the most modern and pressing social and moral questions. I want you to hold all of that in mind because it's the polar opposite of the teaching that Pope Francis gave on August 11th. On that day, the Pope said that the Torah was a temporary teaching, one that does not give life, nor does it offer hope or promise. Only a relationship with Jesus can do that, said the Pope. Now, this might seem like an obscure case of theology that doesn't have much to do with you or me, but that could be a mistake. After all, until the year 1965, it was official church doctrine that Judaism had been replaced by Christianity, and that therefore we Jews were unloved by God. The technical term for this is supersessionism, or more commonly, replacement theology. And Islam engaged in the same move vis-a-vis both Judaism and Christianity. But the Holocaust woke up the church. As it wrestled with its moral culpability, the church drew a direct line between its replacement theology and the recurrent anti-Semitism that led to the Shoah. Thus it was in 1965 that the Second Vatican Council, under the leadership of Pope Paul VI, issued a document called Nostra Aetate, in our time. That enlightened document acknowledges that God has a relationship with Jews and with non-Christians. It was a sea change that overturned the church's notion of replacement theology. So why, I can hear some of you asking, why does this matter? Because the church recognized that it was complicit in the cultural erasure of Jewish customs, traditions, and our bodies themselves. And the thing with cultural erasure is that it tends to happen so slowly that you can't detect it until after a minority or other oppressed group has been thoroughly marginalized. Once that work has been done, however, it becomes that much easier to lynch, exterminate, or oppress the erased people. Which brings us to Texas's recent new abortion law, a law that the Supreme Court refused to put on hold while it works its way through the lower courts. While I suspect most of us have already heard something about this law, it gives anybody the right to sue a person who aids or abets a woman who is seeking an abortion after only 6 weeks of pregnancy. I suspect that a good number of us, but not all of us here, believe in a woman's right to choose. Simultaneously, I think we all recognize how complex an issue this is, how it remains at the heart of America's cultural wars, and that even those who have an abortion can remain conflicted about their decision. What is certainly true is that Jewish law permits abortion in many instances and places the well-being of the woman above that of the fetus. What I want to do is actually examine what that means and what sort of choice we're discussing. Because I think we all know at some level, right, that to live in society means that we don't have unlimited choices, not in our actions and not with our bodies. Every one of us agrees to suspend some of our freedom of choice so that we can live together with others. So what is special and unique about a woman's right to choose that makes this new Texas law such an abomination? Erasure. There's a context and a history to abortion, which is about the very long erasure of women as full and equal individuals. The marginalization of women has gone on for so long that even when it comes to something as personal as her reproductive rights, her voice has been erased. This erasure, as we also know too well, extends to us as Jews. For although Texas made this law with no explicit reference to religion, it grew on the ground which had erased other religions, values, and beliefs. The Hebrew Bible is remarkably clear that abortion is not murder. Rather, in a verse that we learn that a man who causes the miscarriage of a woman, an abortion, is responsible for monetary and medical damages. Whereas in murder cases, the Torah explicitly forbids monetary damages, meaning the two are not at all the same. When the Pope gave a speech that erases Jewish law and the validity of the Torah, he wasn't just making a theological statement. The erasure of minority perspectives on when life begins and the legal status of abortion makes it that much easier to oppress women in Texas. And at a time when we have seen so much increased anti-Semitism, his teaching is also another act in the long erasure of the Jewish people. It does not demonstrate the realization that other peoples and faiths also have profoundly reasoned moral beliefs. I kind of like Pope Francis, kind of like him, not just the past tense. In his initial concern for the indigent and powerless around the world, he seemed like someone who likely would have accepted the radical notion of inclusion contained in our opening Torah verse this week. Adonai. He seemed like someone who was committed to stand as a moral force against erasure. But on August 11th, his words threatened to overturn a half-century of progress within his church. None of us can or should be defined by our worst acts or beliefs. We are far more than those moments, and that includes the Pope. As we stand today, all of us, on the precipice of Rosh Hashanah, Teshuvah should make that patently clear. But Teshuvah without Charatah, without an admission of personal wrongdoing and a desire to change, is not possible. I pray that Pope Francis realizes the damage he has caused. I pray that our lower courts take a stand against erasure and overturn Texas's new insidious law. Mostly, I pray that the stresses of this past year, which have caused so many to act irrationally and poorly, will pass. May this new year return to us all a sense of expansiveness so that we can live with our differences and allow people the dignity of choice in the most intimate parts of their lives. Shabbat Shalom. I invite everyone to rise on page 39A for the clock.
את אדוני הנפלא, אוויר יום מביא לילה, אוויר בין יום ולילה, די צבאו שמו אל חי והקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אמר יפארמים.
Page 40, Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, אהבת תורה ומצוות ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. כן אדוני אלוהינו, שובנו וקומנו, נשיח חוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך נאמרת. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, והם הלילה, לך תסיר עמנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה ואהבת.
ככה, בכל זאת, היה...
Adonai Lochem
44 at the top, will mount the Torah soon.
מלכותו ברצון, גיבל מלא, משה מרים ובני ישראל, שירה על שמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך בנים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות וספל, מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע הים לפני משה, זמינו ואמרו, אדוני אלוהים, ונאמר אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני על ישראל.
Page 45, Ashkivenu, God, let us lie down in peace and rise up in peace.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, שלום, ועמיתנו מלכנו לחיים, לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, 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 ותקננו בעצה טובה, מלפניך, והושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדנו, יסר מעלינו, אויב דבר בחרב, ורב לידו נשכיבנו לשלום, שלום. ויסר שטן מלפנינו, לפנינו, אחרינו, וצל כנפיך תסתירנו, תהיה שומרנו, ומצילנו אתה, תהיה חנונה ורחומתה, השכיבנו לשלום, שלום, ושמון צאתנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הבורא סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Please rise to Shamru, page 46.
שמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבה נפש. יתגדל ויתקדש שם ברכה, ימני ורקידותי וימליך מלכותי, וחיים עוד יום וחייב בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב מבואה, וישמע בקרה, ויעלם מהמיה, יברך וישתבח ויבער ותרומה וינשא ותתר ותעלה ותהלל, שמך קודשה בריחו, אלא מן כל מלכתה ושירתה, ושבחתה ונחמתה, תאיר ברבים. Amen.
We head into the silent Amidah 47 and Kavanah and intention for you. What do you wish for yourself this year, for your circle, for the world? Your own pace, cancer will lead us in the game.
מגן אבו מדברו מחיים איתי במאמרו אל הקדוש אין כמוהו. לילה 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 המניח לימו ביום שבת קודשו, איבם רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבוד וירב בפחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד. ברכות אל ההודעות, אדון השלום מקדש השבת, ברך שבי ומניח בקדושה, נלמד ושני עונג, זכר למעשה בראשית. לילה לילה לילה
Full Kaddish is on page 54. I'm going to invite everyone to rise for the next few prayers as Hannah goes into Shalem, and we're going to have Maya on deck to lead us in Kiddush.
אם כדאי לגדל שמר רבה, ומה דיברה כולכם, נקבע כולכם, ויכול לתומך כולכם לכל ישראל, לגרה בזמן קרים אמו, אמן, וישמר רבה מחרה, לעלה מולה מעיה, יתברך ושנבה מתבר מתרומה, מנסה ותדר מתעלה ותלש, ותשבריחו, לאלה, כל ברכתה ושירתה, ושפחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמד, אמן, קבץ ותור לכל ישראל, קודם אבוכון וישמעיה ואמרו אמן, ויש להם רבה משמעיה, וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל אמרו אמן, עושה שלום לומר, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו וכל ישראל וכל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
Okay, Maya, to let everyone know that you asked for there to be scotch in the Kiddush cup for your conference cup. Okay, it's great too.
Maya, go over to the podium. Maya, are you on 76? Maya?
Vayhi Erev, Vayhi Boker, Yom HaShishi. Vayhu HaShamayim v'haaretz v'chotzeta. Vaychankim v'yom Shvi, Melachta asher asa. Vayishbach hayom HaShvi, Mikol melach Vayvarech Elohim et Yom Shvi, Vaychalotei Shabbat, Ki bo Shabbat mikol melach asher bara Elohim aso. Sari Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Amen. You do not have to drink all of it. That should go up.
You have this beautiful notion of do a mitzvah, making a mitzvah beautiful.
Yeah.
And wasn't that Kiddush just gorgeous? And let's stay there. We're gonna remain standing for Aleinu on page 57.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גאולה יוצא בראשית, שלא סוף ולא שמענו משפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כעת, וכל עלינו ככל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים משתחווים ובאים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא של שמיים ויוסף ארץ. על כן נלחמנו. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. נאמר ונאמר למלך על כל הארץ, ויאמר יהיה אדוני אחד, שמו אחד.
Please be seated as we turn to Kaddish Shalom, Morris College, more yard sites, so many. Oh, we can do that first, sure. We're going to continue, there's different places to put it, but we'll just flip the page to 59 first for Psalm 27, a special psalm recited throughout the month of Elul, and we'll have a Moroccan chanted version of it.
לדוד אדוני אורי ואשתי ממירה אדוני מעוז חיי ממיכה בקרוב עלי מרעים לכל בשרי צרה ואויבי לי המה קשו ונפלו תחנה עלי מחנה לא ירא ליבי תקום עלי מלחמה בזאת אני בוטח אחד שאלתי את אדוני תבקש בבית אדוני כלבי חיי אדוני תרובה כי אביבים יעזבוני ואדוני יאספני עורני אדוני דרכך ולחני באורח מישור למען שוררי אז תנני בנפש שרי כי כמו בדשת תרדוף חמאס כולי האמנתי לא בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים קבל אדוני חזק ויענש ליבך וקבל אדוני.
For those of us observing, we'll turn back to 58 as we call to mind those whose anniversary of death occurs at this time of year. We remember Golda Berenzin, Iris, Hacken and Berkeley, Esther Blumenthal, Morris Blumenthal, Esmond Braun, Emil Buchbaum, Laura Parker, Phil Cohen, Abel Feldman, Delville Gendler, Chaya Messina, Chaya Goldberg, Louis Greenspan, Doris Hedrick, Sarah Jacobs, Ruby Plugman, Jean Rosalie Lesh, Sadie Levine, Solomon Zelig Lindenberg, Esther Min, Jack Benson Menashe, Leo Meyer, Laverne, Merle Mandel, Moses Muskovitz, Zelda Newman, Winter Oster, Irene Ravenstrike, Carol Rogaway, Abraham Rosenberg, Morris Rosenstein, Harris E. Rosenthal, Laura Rothstein, Evelyn Salzberg, Solomon Schwartz, David Sherman, Ralph Springer, Sylvia Sabatnik Brookbach, Enid E. Winger, Tobia Weinstein, Bratislavia Yalova, Joseph Salzman, Sam Zarkin, Samuel J. Zankdale. Any other yard sites being observed? So say them loud so we can all hear. And at home, please mention the person aloud there. All those the period of mourning, those observing the yard site will rise on 58 for the recitation of Kiddush. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemer Haba, Yomad, Yivrakute, Yamnik Matute, Chayefon, Yamechon, Chaye, the full Beit Israel. Bagalah ubizman David Yimru Amen.
Amen.
Yehesh Me'Rambam Barach V'Lamla Me'Amaya Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitpa'ar V'Tramam V'Yitnaseh V'Yitadar V'Taleh V'Talal Shmei Kusha V'Rivu Eila Minkol V'Yachata V'Shirata Tushbechata V'Nechamata Tamiran Yoma V'Yimru Amen. Yehesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya Chaim Aleinu Ve'Al Yisrael V'Yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom V'Lamav Puya Aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'Al Yisrael V'Al Yisrael Ve'Al Yimru. Everyone makes peace in the high place. We bring our planet, our world peace we all desire to need, and give strength and comfort to all the earth and here. Glenn, do you have any announcements you'd like to make? Got our president up here. Boy, you know, he has been doing such an amazing job under what trying circumstances. So it's nice to share the podium with you.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, Cantor. Another beautiful service. And how lucky are we to enjoy our summer in the plaza, Holton Plaza here outside. We're very lucky to be able to do this, and I believe this is the last one. So we've made it through the summer, and another beautiful summer it is. It has been. So before we get to the high holidays, starting Monday night, if there's any indication of the Kiddush that you just performed for us, tomorrow is going to be another beautiful, beautiful bat mitzvah. I can't wait to enjoy that with you and the family, and mazel tov, early mazel tov to the family. And I hope everyone is able to join us, whether they're able to come here in the main sanctuary or on Zoom or live stream. Please join us tomorrow morning for a beautiful bat mitzvah. Yes, high holidays are coming, Rosh Hashanah Monday evening. Whether you join us in person here on the Holtzman Plaza, on Zoom or on live stream, we hope that you will join us and have a very, very sweet, happy, and healthy new year. And may all of us continue to, as we close out the year of positivity, as I've said, and we move into the year of togetherness, may we all be together and continue to thrive. Thank you very much, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Canner,
Rabbi?
can we be temporarily confused and pretend it's already the high holidays?
I'm definitely confused all the time, so go ahead.
I'm just wondering, can we jump into a Yigdal high holiday melody, or you want to do?
No, I
You
would
wanna-
say
you wanna
let's
hold
leave
up
that,
a little?
let's leave it. I was
Okay, you wanna
thinking
leave
just
it a
now
little?
about singing this to something high holiday-ish. It's so close that it's
Okay,
too
all
close.
right,
Let's get
okay.
into it when it starts.
See, this is why I'm Jewish. If I was Christian, all my presents would be open before Christmas morning, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like,
No,
no, I want the melody for
I-
yourself.
I hear, I was going through that in my mind as well, and I decided not to. Let's be in the moment Monday night and Tuesday. Leave it for that.
Great.
Okay? All right. I don't want to start the new year today. Let's start another day. All right. So we got anything else to say? No. Mazel tov to the family again. Looking forward to now you got me singing the high holiday tune pretty freaked out in my head. I'll try to get that one out. יגדל אלוהים חי, ואיש טבח, ימצא ונטל לצביעותו, אחד בן יחיד כייחודו, נעלם גם אין סוף לאחדותו. אין לו דמות הגוף ואין גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו. קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון בין ראשית לראשיתו. הינו אדון עולם וכל אוצר, יורד גאולתו ומלכותו. שפן נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו. קם בישראל כמו שעוד נביא ומאמין את אמונתו. רק ונתן לעמו אל היה לביאו למען ביתו. יחד יפעל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ביודעה סכרנו מביא בסוף דבר בקדמתו. ולאיש חסד ימי פעלו ותן רשע רע כרישתו. שלח מקץ ימין משיחנו לפדות מחקקץ ישועתו. נתיב יחייב לרוחשתו ברוך עד שם תהילתו. נתיב יחייב לרוחשתו ברוך עד שם תהילתו.
Shana Tova u'mitzvah, a good and a sweet year to everyone. Mazel tov ahead of time to them and family. Maya can't wait till tomorrow. Shabbat shalom.
Hey, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Hey,
Shabbat shalom.
hey,
Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom.